Hello, here's my third instalment to my Magic Roads tutorials, and this one we're going to talk about elevation data smoothing. You may well already be aware of a website called GPS Smoother, and that can be run locally on your computer or it can be run online on the web. Here we've got the GitHub repository relating to that. Well, this is the author and these are all his projects, and we have GPS Smoother here, and there's a link to the online version down here. So online you can use GPS Smoother here. If I go back, there is a new version of this, and this is in beta, and we can look here. It looks quite different, but we'll see why he's made a new version. If I open up a file, Ditchling Beacon for example, let's reset the data and go to the elevation chart. This is a very poor file, but I chose it just to illustrate a point. If I go to slope chart and I apply the elevation box smoothing, which is the equivalent to the smooth data on the previous version, what happens is you can generate a very high, a very steep gradient spike. And that's because this smoothing algorithm is looking at the elevation only. It's not looking at the difference in distance between the points. So if you have used an online route planner, the points aren't evenly spaced. So this is where this smoothing algorithm comes unstuck. There are some other things to note. Let's reset the data. And here it's the elevation profile. And just like the previous iteration, if you apply a slope range, you can markedly change your elevation data. And if you apply flatten values, let's see what happens. Oh dear, I think I've chosen, oh yes, I've chosen far too small a value. Let's reset the data, but let's change that to 10, for example, and flatten the values. I've markedly changed the elevation profile. So these filters should be used sparingly. And also elevation box smoothing again can cause problems. There are several ways around this, and one is to use this new version and apply a different smoothing algorithm. If we go back to the slope chart, I can use apply slope box smoothing, and obviously it's done a different job with no great elevation spikes. This is a poor file, so I'll just go on to another file and we're on Box Hill here. Let's just show the slope range there and the apply flatten values. You can see the changes there, which are not ideal. But let's go back to the slope chart and hop on to the smoothing. So we can elevation box smoothing. It hasn't caused any problems, but still let's try out a few other smoothing algorithms. Slope box smoothing. Now that shouldn't create large elevation spikes, and it hasn't. And the other one, the new one to show you, is the Kalman filter, and that uses a filter to just smooth the data, and I think this is a very good filter and works exceedingly well. You'll have to use your judgment as to whether the result matches the slope of the hill that you are aiming to ride, but you've got numerous choices here. And I think the important thing is to watch out for changes in the plot profile, because if you know that your elevation data are correct, you don't really want to change those data. All you want to do is change the small slope changes in between a few rogue points. So that's all you really want to do. Let's just see whether the Kalman filter changes that elevation chart, and it does. So I think here it wouldn't, if I knew that these data were correct, I think that wouldn't be the right choice. So if none of these work, let's try resetting the data, apply a slope box smoothing. Let's look at well, that's really maintained it fairly well. But if none of these work, there is an alternative, more advanced method to smooth your data, and that involves interpolating your points so there's even spacing between the points, and then you can come back here and use the apply elevation box smoothing, and that will fix the problem. So I hope this has helped give you an overview of DPX Smoother. The last thing actually I need to tell you about is you can download your file at the bottom. But on the old version, you could copy and paste the file as well. But I hope that's given you a good overview of DPX Smoother, and that should help. If you're coming across problems you can't solve with this, then my later videos will help. And that's all for now.